Oh, he's not dead.
Good morning, ladies and Gentiles. Secular Opinion coming at you with a Vonhelton video, which I wasn't sure that I even wanted to be bothered doing, to be honest, because it's so asinine and ridiculous. Even as far as really dumb conspiracy theories go, this would be considered low-hanging fruit. This thing has been around since the 60s, and it's been debunked since the 60s, but for some reason, it just keeps coming back, and why Vonhelton chose right now to make a video about it, I got no idea. Now this video is like over 20 minutes long. There's no way we're gonna sit through that for 20 minutes. And really, be honest, he really doesn't even do anything funny or interesting in this video. It's just lame, to be honest with you. But I thought, what the heck? Let's take a look. I don't want to waste any time. Let's get into it.
Your organization is against gun control?
Gun control is for wimps and commies. Listen, let's get one thing straight. Guns don't kill people. I do.
Yes, well.
You're bringing in billions of dollars. Well, what today would be billions or trillions of dollars.
Billions or
You're
trillions.
bringing in millions of dollars back in the 1950s and 60s, which in today's money would be billions, if not trillions of dollars. Okay, so we're talking a huge sum of money here. Then all of a sudden, one of your musicians dies. What do you do? Do you just throw your hands up in the air and say, "Oh well, there goes millions of dollars out the fucking window"? Or do you get somebody to come in and replace them and act as if nothing is happening so you can keep raking in that billion to trillion dollars every year? Well, I think the answer is pretty obvious, isn't it? You're going to keep up appearances. I mean, when you got people that are bringing you what in today's money would be close to $1 trillion
Trillion. A year.
you're not going to want to give that up, guys. Okay, you're just not. You know, because one of the biggest things I get, oh well, Von, there's no real legitimate reason for them to do that. Yeah, there is. It's called money, dummy. You know, they're gonna want to keep their money. They're gonna want to keep their money. You know, they're raking in tons and tons and tons of money. You know, and back then, you know, money was not to the place it is today, but it was important, and they were making a lot of it. And so, and not only that, but it's the idea of of what the Beatles did here in America, how they revolutionized, no pun intended, America. And so, yeah, they're going to keep up the appearance. They're going to keep things going. That's just the way that it is, man. You know, and the funny part about it, the part that really gets me, is that the Beatles even fucking tell you. They tell you flat out. In one of their songs, the Beatles say the Walrus was Paul. They even tell you the Walrus was Paul. And people are like, I still don't fucking get it, you know. That's the beauty of this thing. They played you so good, man, that you actually don't want to listen to what the Beatles themselves are telling you. The Beatles themselves told you the Walrus was Paul.
What the hell does that mean? I don't.
Oh, he's still alive. He's still alive. He's still alive. No, he's dead. He's dead, and we're going to find out. We got proof. I got videos I'm going to show you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see these videos, it's going to be abundantly clear that Paul is dead, man. There's no bringing the dude back, okay? In fact, they didn't have just one replacement for Paul. They had 7 replacements for Paul. And, you know, and
It's of course important to point out right now that Vonhelton backs none of this up in this over 20-minute video. I just want to throw that out there. He backs. I don't even get where he get. I think I get where he's getting the 7 from, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's keep rolling.
believe me, I mean, these guys are talented people. I mean, don't get me wrong. But the real Paul is dead. And he died in a car crash There is documentation. There is news articles that he died in this car crash. But people don't want to believe it.
Again, he doesn't supply any of that at all.
But they don't want to listen. They want to, they want to, obfuscate. Oh, he couldn't have really died. It was just an accident. And then to beat it all, some idiot makes a claim that, oh well, he fell off of a hoverboard or some shit like that. One of them boards with the wheels on it. Said he fell off of that. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, okay.
I don't know what he's talking about.
But yeah, man, like I said, I'm going to provide you video evidence. The first thing I'm going to show you is 2 clips of an interview. And the funny thing about it is these clips are only a few months apart. That's it. Just a few months apart, folks.
That's not true.
And the difference is daily. I mean, one guy's got a Scottish accent, for fuck's sake, okay? Billy Shears has a Scottish accent, okay? So it isn't Paul. It couldn't be Paul.
It's important to point out at this time that Paul McCartney actually, while in the Beatles, had a farm in Scotland. That was like his family farm he worked on. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, and then like I say down in the description, Billy Shears has a 9.5 size shoe. Paul has a size 8 shoe. Guess what size the shoe was when they took the shoe off and showed it for a charity? Oh, 9.5, not 8.
It would have been great if Vaughn had shown that clip in this video, but he didn't.
So was it Paul's shoe? No, it couldn't have been. Paul wore a size 8. Size 9.5 would be too big. Be falling off his feet. Yeah, and that's just one difference. Like I said, I got listed down in the comment section there all the differences and shit. And it's just, there's no question. But this thing seems to linger on, that Paul isn't dead. Well, I'm sorry, but he is dead. The Beatles even told you he was dead. The Walrus was Paul. It's right there in one of their songs. You can't deny it. Okay? So when the Beatles themselves tell you, yeah, Paul's dead, what do y'all do? Oh, he's not dead. Okay, whatever. Whatever, man. But yeah, the Beatles themselves tell you the Walrus was Paul in one of their songs. They even tell you.
Admittedly, I haven't actually looked this up, but I don't get the connection. Like I am the Walrus, and the Walrus is Paul. What the hell? Someone in the comments fill me in. Maybe there's something I am missing there. I don't know.
It's not like they didn't tell you this shit. Anyways, I got a series of videos I want to show you. The first is a comparison video between the two interviewers, and then there's a man that tells you about the car accident. And that there's just no fucking way he survived that. There's no way. There's no way he survived it, period. And so I'm going to show you these videos, and then I'll come back later and wrap it up for you.
Alright, so I'm going to spare you. We'll take a quick look at what he's talking about here. But to give credit where credit's due, there's a couple things that Vaughn kind of has right, but kind of is still way off, right? And I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this, and I'm not an expert in this, and I'm not even a huge Beatles fan, but I have come across this before. In fact, it was a few years ago, a guy I used to work with brought it up, and it was the first time I had heard about it. But it's been around since the 60s. Yes, it's true. In 1966, there was a rumor that Paul McCartney got into a vehicle accident, and then there was a rumor that he died. I'm not even sure if he actually was in the accident, but I know they definitely quashed the rumors. This happened in January, I think, 1966, and by February they had already come out publicly and quashed it, right? So, excuse me, I doubt very much that they got a impersonator that quick. But that's kind of where the rumor started that he died. And then I guess it had a resurgence around 1969, right? And a couple kind of interesting things happened. That's when the Beatles released Abbey Road, and they began their separation, I believe. I think John Lennon announced it first or something. And Paul McCartney retreated to his Scottish farm. I think it's Campbelltown or Campbellton or something. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not an expert. But he went to Scotland to his farm, right? So then, you got to remember the Beatles, right? Obviously, they're not just a band; they're an iconic band. And I wanted to bring up a point, and it's kind of a neat, interesting kind of side point of what was going on in the music business back then. Like, obviously, in the 50s, especially in the early 60s, they didn't have things like the internet. They didn't have even media coverage in the form of like television, right? That would even be anywhere comparable to what we have today, obviously. But it was common back then for record companies, like for example, the Zombies is a perfect example. They had actually packed it in when their song "Turn of the Seasons," is that the name of it? Actually was a hit in the United States, and they didn't even realize for a long time. But what the record companies were doing, they used to put out clone bands, right? So there is truth to that they used to actually use clone bands. But you see, it's because the Zombies, they weren't a huge band, and a lot of people that liked that song in the United States, had never seen them, other than maybe some grainy photos on an album cover or somewhere, right? So they could get away with that. But the Beatles were iconic. Like, these people that were like, that were swept up in Beatlemania, like they lived, breathed them, they knew them, right? Which also is a disservice to it, because any kind of rumor like death or conspiracy or mystery or intrigue is going to spread like wildfire. And that's kind of what happened in 1969. Apparently, some dude did write an article, so that is kind of true. He did put an article out, Paul is dead or something like that. But that was based on him and his friends in college were getting high and playing like Beatles albums backwards, and apparently they heard the words "Paul is dead," right? So then they resurfaced this rumor, and it started going around, and everyone starts looking for clues on album covers and stuff. That was in September 1969. In October 1969, a guy calls into a Detroit radio station and brings up the rumors again and starts talking about how you can find all these clues in the album covers and stuff. And of course, people start phoning in, and it just kind of exploded again. Now, where Vonhelton is kind of correct is that there is money in it. And don't get me wrong, the Beatles, they are a mega money industry, right? But what record executives were finding is that there was money in these rumors, but not to replace Paul, but was instead based on his death. They were making more money. They found a resurgence of Abbey Road and Sgt. Pepper, I believe. They both started entering the charts again and started going up because people were hearing about it and they're running out and buying the albums, right? So it was actually to their advantage that this rumor was out there. And it is kind of true. Now, we got to back up just a quick second. You know how these people work, right? So these are some pretty loose connections on the album covers. Like, for example, Abbey Road. They're saying that each member that's walking across the street is dressed up like a different member of a funeral party or someone that's putting together a funeral procession or something, right? So you got like John Lennon dressed in white. I guess he's like the Reverend or something like that. You got Ringo Starr all in a black suit. He's like the Undertaker. You got George Harrison at the end dressed in work clothes. He's the gravedigger. And then you got McCartney walking without shoes because, of course, it's a big joke to them that their buddy died. And, he's supposed to be the corpse. And then in the license plate in the back, this is where they really start stretching it, folks. There's a license plate on the Volkswagen that reads LMW 281F. And to make this work, you got to read it backwards, and the 1F becomes if, which it's not, but you got to make it if 28. And what they're saying is, if he had lived, he'd have seen 28. Now, that's a stretch, but here's where it gets even nuttier. The LMW obviously stands for Linda McCartney Weeping, because apparently she was forced to marry not one, but 7 replicas of her husband. Like, can you imagine this conspiracy, right? Like, it's just lunacy. But the Beatles actually played along with this. So it is true that in lyrics of some of their songs, in Paul's solo career, and I think in John Lennon's too, and even little hints on the album, they do play into this later, not before, but after 1969, admittedly, he is right on that. They put it in as a joke, tongue in cheek. All right, like there's nothing else to it. But I don't want to babble too much about it. It's obvious that it's bullshit. It's asinine, right? But let's take a look at this video that he claims is only a few months apart. I'm pretty sure when I looked it up, it's like a year or two apart. But besides that, let's take a look. All right, so here's a couple of shots of the interview. This is the later shot compared to an earlier shot. So obviously the hairstyle is different, the mustache, the facial hair, the clothes. Let's take a look.
An old scene, you know, it's trying to see where we are now.
You can't say too much though, that's the trouble.
And so they tend to get, you know, people sort of put them down a bit and say, you know, weirdo, psychedelic. And
there we go. Oh, the music, you know it's real. So they're saying these are completely different people. Now, admittedly, the only thing that I can actually see different between these guys is that the one on the left that's later, he looks a little thinner, but that could be just due to formatting of the screen because of poor resolution. Right? I've seen like images stretched before from that time period. But they're trying to say the eyebrows are totally different, that the whole, I mean, again, he looks like maybe he's a little lighter in weight. But, I mean, to me, the ears look the same. The eyebrows are the same. The eyes are the same. The mouth's the same. The nose is the same. But these are all the things that these people are saying are different. I just don't see it. Am I crazy? Am I blind? I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyways, the other video is not even worth watching. It's just complete nonsense. It's just this guy. I'll play a little bit, but, I mean, it's just, I don't even get what the guy's point is.
To the next generation, yeah, people. That's what I met is not it's not the same mind that is controlling the things like this one. You find the organ.
I'm sorry, I don't speak crazy. Can anybody translate this for me? Like, this is what the whole video clip is like. Just random clips of this guy rattling on in some unidentifiable accent. It's Nutsville. This is the only evidence that Vonhelton puts up of this fucking retarded conspiracy theory. Anyways, let's skip to the end. I don't know if I even watched it right to the end. Maybe Von does something interesting. I don't think so, but let's go. I'm sure anywhere is good.
There's something important about the music industry I need to tell you. And then not long after that, Michael Jackson's dead.
Oh, yeah. Michael Jackson's in on it, too.
Yeah, what was it? What was this important thing that Michael Jackson was going to tell us about the music industry?
Just a little bit of trivia. Michael Jackson actually screwed Paul McCartney out of the Beatles catalog. Look it up.
Industry. Perhaps maybe that they've been lying to you this whole time about a great many things, one of which being that Paul is actually dead. But not only that, but there's a whole slew of other things that you know, Michael Jackson was going to try and tell you. Couldn't do it because they killed his ass. And believe me, one of his sisters, I believe it was Janet, because I believe he has more than one sister if I remember correctly. But anyway, I believe it was Janet Jackson said that she believed that Michael was murdered because he was going to reveal some important information to everyone. You know, and just prior to his death, he did that song, They Don't Really Care About Us. You know, so
it ties it all together.
An obvious jab at the music industry. So, you know, you know, Paul being dead was just one of the secrets that the music industry had kept for years and years and years. Now, I know somebody's going to say, well, how in the world could they have kept it so long? How could they have kept... Dude, they pay people, okay? You pay people. They pay people or they kill them. How do you think these elite bastard families, these 13 elite families...
Alright, he just goes off the rails and starts tying it into the fucking... the Sumerians and everything here. But, I mean, yeah, can you imagine Linda McCartney, right? It's like, we'll pay you off, just keep your mouth shut. You just gotta, like, keep this fake marriage up. Over 7, he never explains that there's 7 McCartneys. I'm not sure where he gets that number. I'm sure if I looked it up, I could find it. The only thing I could think of is like some of these guys, they go to the like, when Paul McCartney, for example, was working on his family farm right in Scotland, I know there was an incident where reporters showed up and took pictures of him. He's all scruffy, scraggy, kind of hippie looking, working on the farm, and he thought that would hurt his image, and he got pissed off. So he invited these photographers, I think from Life, to come over, and he was all cleaned up, clean shaven, and posed for like a cover photo. And I think people might get from instances like that maybe there's all these different Pauls, but I don't know. I mean, I promise to do as much research into this as they do putting it out. That's all I gotta say. So we'll let him finish it off. To everybody, I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I crazy? Was there a difference? Is Paul McCartney dead? Is Paul dead? I doubt it. But let's let Mr. Vonhelton take it out here. Thanks for watching.
It's how you think they keep secrets. They pay people off or they kill them. If you don't accept their money, then they kill your ass. It's that simple. You know, this shit's been going on. This shit's been going on since fucking Middle East days. You know, the days of fucking ancient Sumer and shit. You know, this shit's been going on a long time. So yeah, man. That's where we're at, man. That's where we're at on this shit. And now you know, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. And with that, I bid you all adieu. You have a wonderful day and a better tomorrow.